Hi guys, it's Steph here from the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my first reading wrap up for 2018. If you're familiar with my channel, you'll have noticed that the preview photo has a different title, Books Beside My Bed, and that's because basically all of the books that I read throughout the week are kept beside my bed, and I thought that might be a fun new way to start this series fresh for the year. If I had the space in my room, I would actually film this on my bed, but the logistics of filming in such a small space is a little bit tricky at the moment. So we're still in the same spot, but new title change, new series for 2018, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. This week I have been doing a lot of reading. So this wrap up takes place from the 1st to the 6th of January, and I read 7 books. Along with that, I've also been rereading a whole stack of old RPG message board games that I used to write in, and I'll leave a couple of the posts that I've been reading down below if you're interested, because I just had this massive sense of nostalgia and I started rereading a whole bunch of stuff and I had so much fun doing it. I am still involved in one particular game. The ones that I was reading though are ones that have been inactive for a couple of years, but they were so fun and they hold such a special place in my heart. It reminds me of the days when I did write a lot in RPGs and I did write a lot of fan fiction, but it was just, you know, nice taking a trip down memory lane and really fun revisiting a lot of old characters that I loved. This week has been a massive week for reading for me and it's been really fantastic. I've had a lot of success with the books that I've been reading, and I think as I get older I'm a lot more discerning, and I'm hoping this year that when I actually decide to go and pick up books, either for purchase or borrowing them out or choosing them to read, I'm picking things that I'm actually interested in reading. And while I think it's great to branch out and to read widely, I also think that if you want to feel success in reading and you want to keep reading and feel motivated, you have to read the books that you know you're going to enjoy, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So a lot of these books have really high ratings. I'm not apologizing for that because they're books that I really enjoyed. As I said, I read 7 books and I read a total of 2,436 pages. I did prioritize reading this week because next week I'm going to get back into the swing of getting things organized for when work goes back at the end of the month and whatnot. But this week it was just for relaxing. The first book that I read for 2018 was Beneath the Sugar Sky by Seanan McGuire. This is the 3rd book in the Wayward Children series. It is a January 2018 release. I was actually reading an e-arc sent to me by NetGalley, so thank you very much to them. I do have my physical copy pre-ordered and on the way. It is published by Tor and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Beneath the Sugar Sky and its predecessors are all novella stories and they're sort of companions, although Beneath the Sugar Sky is, while not a direct sequel to Every Heart a Doorway, it does take place afterwards, and it revisits the character of Sumi, who is a character in Every Heart a Doorway, and I can't say too much about that because, spoilers, Sumi's daughter finds herself at the Home for Wayward Children on a mission to recruit some of the children there and get them to help her restore balance in her home world of confection. And it was just delightful and glorious, and Seanan McGuire does such a wonderful job building these worlds and these characters in such a short amount of space. But I don't actually think that they should be longer, and I actually don't think I would like the story as much if it was a full-length novel, because the shorter stories have such a high impact and I think you would lose something if you tried to pad it out. So I think they were wonderful. I really did enjoy the new characters and also spending time with older characters as well, and especially spending time in the world of confection, which is just like the most glorious gingerbread type world that you could possibly think of, and it made my teeth hurt just thinking about it, but it was just wonderfully described. The second book that I read this week was Contest by Matthew Riley. I actually read it as an audiobook. But I do have the physical copy here. Contest is by Matthew Riley. It was first published in 1996. It was originally self-published and then it was picked up by Pan Macmillan, and you know, the rest is history. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It's one of my favorite Matthew Riley books. It is just an absolute thrill ride of an adventure where Dr. Stephen Swain from Earth, his daughter, and a whole bunch of alien races are locked into the New York State Library by a field of electricity that surrounds the entire library, and they have to fight to the death. And it is just gruesome and gory and adventurous and clever, and I really, really love it. It is a reread for me. I've read this probably 4 or 5 times now. This is the first time on an audiobook, and actually it's the first audiobook that I've listened to properly, and I'm starting to get into audiobooks just a little bit. I don't think I could actually listen to new stories. I think I'm going to have to stick to rereads for the moment. My mind tends to wander a little bit and that frustrates me, but I know contests so well that I can fill in the gaps of what I may, you know, tune out of occasionally. But I am listening to them as I'm walking each day, so I'm trying to get into the habit of going for daily walks, so I figured the audiobooks will help with that as well. So yes, but I love Contest. If you haven't read it, I highly suggest you pick it up. It's actually not too long and it's really quick to read. Then I read The Capsule Wardrobe by Wendy Mack, which is published by Nero Books, and it was released last year in 2017, and I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. This is just a fashion book. It is about how to create your own capsule wardrobe, which is a wardrobe of about 30 pieces, and it's designed to take the stress and hassle out of your wardrobe, and I think I really need this book in my life, but it's going to take me some time to actually develop my own capsule wardrobe, because I'm going to need to actually save up and go and buy some really strategic pieces that I can keep in it. But everything in my wardrobe is driving me nuts at the moment, so this was a timely read, and I've been meaning to sit down and read it properly, and I have. It is full of a little bit of information about the capsule wardrobe, as well as what you should have in there, with beautiful fashion illustrations. And then the second half of the book is literally a table of all the possible combinations that you could create using the 30 pieces. That's why it says 1000 outfits from 30 items. Then I read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is being published by Hotkey here in Australia and distributed through Allen & Unwin, I believe. It is a 2018 release. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This book was incredible. So thank you very much to Allen & Unwin for sending me a review copy, because this was a hell of a ride. It is the story of Jude. She is one of 3 sisters, and one morning they see their mother and their father murdered by a strange man who turns out to be one of the Fae, and he takes them home and raises them as his own children. Jude grows up and she's quite resentful of living in this Fae world where they don't see humans as equals. She is seen as inferior, and she wants to rise in the ranks and be seen as an equal. She is a very smart, very clever, very bloodthirsty character, but she doesn't understand that at the time. And this book is full of twists and turns and betrayal, and you cannot trust a single second of what you know, because everything is constantly turned on its head. New information is given. People betray everyone one after the other, and allegiances are really hard to pick, and it is an absolute roller coaster, and I highly, highly enjoyed this book. I have to say, this is how young adult fantasy fiction can be done, because this is definitely young adult, but it is not it's not taking any of the shortcuts that a lot of other books do, and the Fae in this are quite violent and brutal and mean, and some of them are quite irredeemable, but it has some really awesome relationships in it, and I am desperate now for the second book in the series. I also received a copy of Hangman by Jack Heath from Allen & Unwin in exchange for a review, and this was also released early in January, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It is an adult thriller novel, and it is about Timothy Blake, codenamed the Hangman, who works for the FBI, but he is actually a criminal. And I can't really say what he is, because that would be big spoilers and it sort of hinges a lot of the plot. But what I can say is he is one of the creepiest main characters, with this sort of, I don't want to say heart of gold, because he doesn't really have a heart of gold, but he tries to do right, but he is a psychopath, and it's just, I have no words. He works for the FBI. He's basically being blackmailed. And a 14-year-old boy goes missing. His mother receives a ransom call, and the FBI and Timothy Blake are called in to help try and solve this kidnapping. And the kidnapper becomes fixated on Timothy, and it's just this roller coaster ride of Timothy trying to unravel the mystery of this kidnapped boy and the relationship between the boy and the kidnapper and himself. The author of this book, I think, has previously published only young adult books, so this is his first adult novel, and it is gruesome. It is not for the faint of heart. Don't pick it up if you're squeamish at all. If you're worried about blood and body parts, this is not the book for you, but I really enjoyed it. It was just really thrilling, and it was one of those books that I couldn't put down. Then I read Black Widow, Red Vengeance by Margaret Stohl. This is the second book in the Widow series that's being put out by Marvel Publishing. Guys, this is comic book stories told in novel form done right. So where I was really disappointed by Wonder Woman Warbringer, this just felt good. It is fun, it is fluffy, it doesn't just focus on Natasha Romanoff, it also focuses on Ava, who was in the first story, and the characterization is just spot on. I really enjoyed it. It takes place almost directly after the end of the first book. Natasha and Ava are still trying to recover from the events and what happened at the end of that novel. Ava is going through the SHIELD training academy, but Natasha pulls her out of the academy and they have sort of a holiday slash homeschool training session in South America, and then everything goes to hell. My favorite things in this are the characters, and it's also the banter between the characters. The dialogue is fantastic, and I love that Tony still pops up in this. You had a little bit of Maria Hill, and you also had some Carol Danvers, which was really fun. And in this book, there is mention of the Women of S.H.I.E.L.D. only poker game, which I would love to see a book about that, or even just a short story. A short story would do just fine, but I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The last full book that I read this week was another book that I received from NetGalley as an e-arc, and that was The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Now, I'm going to put out there at the moment that there are 2 titles for this book. The first one is The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, which is the UK edition. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle is the US edition, and as far as I know, the content in the books is not different at all. The titles had to be changed in the US because there was another conflict with titles. So if you're looking on Goodreads, you'll see that there's 2 different ones. The one I read was an arc from the US publisher, so that's being published in September this year. The UK one is apparently being published in February, and I'll be picking up a hard copy of this book because I loved it that much. In the US, it is being published by Source Books, and I gave the book 4 out of 5 stars. It was just incredible. I don't know what the author was thinking when he put this book together, but it was just incredible. It is sort of Agatha Christie meets Groundhog Day meets Black Mirror. I can't even explain the book. I'm actually going to read you the blurb because I can't explain the book without spoiling it. How do you stop a murder that's already happened? At a gala party thrown by her parents, Evelyn Hardcastle will be killed. Again. She's been murdered hundreds of times, and each day Aidan Bishop is too late to save her. Doomed to repeat the same day over and over, Aidan's only escape is to solve Evelyn Hardcastle's murder and conquer the shadows of an enemy he struggles to even comprehend. But nothing and no one are quite what they seem. Deeply atmospheric and ingeniously plotted, The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle is a highly original debut that will appeal to fans of Kate Atkinson and Agatha Christie. All I can say is this book is over 500 pages, and I could not put it down. I read it in one sitting. I just had to know what was happening. I know that some people will find it a little bit difficult because this main character, each day he wakes up, he's in a new body. He experiences the same events from different characters' perspectives, and you know, the characteristics and the traits of these individual people help shape his understanding of what's going on. So the constant jumping around between characters and point of views and perspectives, I think, will confuse some people. I had no problem keeping track of it though, and it made for a really interesting experience, and you could slowly see the pieces coming together. And I kept wondering what was actually at the core of it, at the core of the story and the purpose, and where exactly Aidan Bishop was. I can tell you, I did not expect what I found out, and it blew my mind. So I really enjoyed this book, and I highly encourage you to pick it up if you enjoy thriller books and sort of murder mysteries. Finally, I'm currently rereading Temple by Matthew Riley on audiobook. I'm about 65% of the way through it. I haven't quite worked that out yet, but I'm reading it on audiobook, and I should hopefully finish it in the next couple of days, but I will talk about that next week. But this is also another book that I love. So these are the 5 physical books that I read this week, plus imagine, 2 ebooks. And I am super pleased with the week. I love a good reading week where you have high ratings and high enjoyment out of the books that you're reading. Let me know in the comments what you have been reading this week. I hope that wherever you're in the world, you're having a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.